the event today, the how to train your dragon and bring you back from pain to sovereignty with the very lovely Sue Goodrich. We also have a wonderful attendee tonight as well with Steve. Thank you very much for being with us, Steve, today on camera, and it's really lovely to see you. And I am going to pop into the I'm just going to go live in the group before we actually fully begin. There it is. Here we are. And I'm going to pop in the Zoom link. So anybody that wants to come in can join us on the call on camera and be a participant as well. So just let me pop this in. Oh dear, got sausage fingers. Okay, there's the link gone in for anybody who wants to join.
Yay.
Right, okay. So let me introduce everybody to the very lovely Susan Goodrich. So I'm so excited to be hosting this masterclass for Sue tonight. It's tonight for me in the UK, and she is a founding member of Gutsy Women, and she's someone whose work is really deeply aligned with our mission of living courageously and healing honestly and showing up fully. This is what we're all about in Gutsy Women. Sue Goodrich is a transformational coach. She's also known as the Dragon Whisperer and a soul cartographer. I'm sure that we'll all understand more of what those titles mean as she moves through the masterclass today. She's about to deliver for all of us, whether you're watching or whether you choose to come on camera with us. So whatever you're doing, Sue is going to be delivering this wonderful masterclass for everybody. She helps purpose-led humans like yourselves move from chronic pain, burnout, and emotional shutdown into a state of deep embodied sovereignty. And she has had her own journey with trauma. Alchemy and nervous system attunement, which all helps people like us reclaim our voice, realign with our truth, and return to our natural rhythm. She is the creator of the Dragon Quiz.
Oh dear.
In her masterclass, How to Tame Your Dragons from Chronic Pain to Sovereignty. So please help me welcome the one and only Sue Goodrich.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. I really appreciate you hosting me here inside the Gutsy Women Today group to Facebook group, right? With all these amazing, wonderful women and even men, because we have Steve with us today as well. We all have this need to, step into our sovereignty, whether you're a woman or a man, you need, I believe we need to learn how to step into our own sovereignty and step into our own power, right? To really be able to deliver what it is that we need to do in this lifetime. So I'm just going to share my screen because I have a slideshow. Hopefully I won't bore you to death, but I have enough stories here to be able to share with you. And I'm going to share my screen over here. Let me know. Can you see that?
Yes. Yes, there it is.
Alrighty. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to train your dragons, how to go from chronic chronic pain to sovereignty. Because what I know is that often sovereignty is something that we need to learn how to embody, to return to. We are born sovereign, but here we are in this lifetime having been challenged with what I call dragons. And dragons are really just our inner critical voices, the things that sabotage us. But the truth is, those dragons were really meant, they were born to protect us. When I became aware of this, because I had studied, these saboteurs, inner mean girls, I've studied it many different ways. And what I learned eventually, it just suddenly showed up. No, we're not supposed to slay those dragons. We're supposed to embrace them, because the truth is they love us so much. They would do absolutely anything to protect us. So we're going to be doing a little journey here on how to train our dragons. And so you are in the right place if you want to stop pretzeling yourself. That's a term I came up with because I often felt like I had to sort of shape shift to fit into someone else's mold. And you're in the right place if you want to start living from a place of truth and authenticity so you can show up as your true self. And then stop carrying the chronic tension or the pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or the quiet pain of betraying your own self. If you're here for the transformation from from conformity to authenticity, from chronic pain to sovereignty, know that you are in the right place. So, as Dee introduced me as the Dragon Whisperer and the Soul Cartographer, and some of you even knew me when at one point I was introducing myself as the Good Witch, which is really a play off my name, Goodrich. But what I found is, as I was exploring this work even deeper, I realized that I show up in 3 different modalities. And so I really do embody the Dragon Whisperer, the Soul Cartographer, and the Good Witch. And each of these does different things in the journey that I have you take back to yourself, whether that's the journey to become an abundant entrepreneur or just to become abundant in your own life. So the Dragon Whisperer, she's the one that we're going to spend time with today. And I help you see and name and transform those protective patterns, right? The dragons that have been running your life, those old stories. And we'll be talking about the 4 steps that I take you through there. But the Soul Cartographer part of myself also charts your course from where you are and where you're meant to be based on your soul's design. And I know that Dee has explored a little bit with me around the what we call human design. I call it your soul's compass, because when you understand who you were designed to be, you can actually stop pretzeling and claim who you are. You're going to be able to really embrace and uplevel your own confidence. The Good Witch, well, these are all my magic tools, including my magic wand. They help us step through the rituals that we need to go through every day on a daily basis. And I help my clients stay accountable on their path. So when things like the dragons show up, we're prepared for them, right? This transformational journey isn't just a one and done. It literally is a practice. And I believe that we need to practice magic every day, because those are the things that help us stay on our journey, on our path. And so the transformational path itself actually has 8, what I used to call 8 steps, 8 components. They don't necessarily actually go in a logical, linear order, but I do know that phase 1 has four components to it, and I'll be taking you through those today. That's the Dragon Whisperers work, where we learn to train the dragons. And then phase 2, which is charting the course as a soul cartographer. Funny, I recognized after coming up with this title, or I should say ChatGPT came up with this title, charting your course, that it has the compass and it has a map, is that I have been working with maps since I was probably 12. I used to navigate help navigate my mother when she was driving, when we would be on vacation. In my late teens, I worked for the Ontario Travel Tourism and helped people guide them on their journey from where we were to where they wanted to go. And then I worked in mapping, literally in legal surveying and mapping for 12 years. And so I know a lot about charting courses. So that just happens to be who I am. I can see that that's part of my design. And then the Good Witch comes along and helps you travel that path and stay on it. Just like Glenda the Good Witch shows up for Dorothy on The Wizard of Oz, helps you with her magic wand and guides you back on the path when, some of those little things show up and or we come to a crossroads and we're not really sure where to go. So that's who I am. And those are the journeys that I take my clients on. Some of you may be here to get your dragons trained. Some of you may show up needing to know who you are and be on the course. Who are you designed to be? And some of you just need assistance on your path to stay accountable. So people show up in very different ways. But today we're focusing on stage 1, training the dragons. So today I show up as the Dragon Whisperer. Now, I know some of you are wondering, and you're probably going, Sue, are you serious? Are you telling me I really have dragons? And I'm going to say yes. And I brought some pictures to show you. So I also want to make this a little bit light. So I don't know if you've seen these dragons before or some of these images. And I like to think of them kind of comical because it helps to lighten the load a little bit, because not all of them, need to have that deep, dark space. But they are really our protectors. And these are a few that I've met on my work. There's the imposter dragon, which we're going to meet in detail. The burnout basilisk, which is this guy up over here in the top right-hand corner, and many more. Actually, this one over here down in the lower left-hand corner, that's the Chaos Hydra, the one that has so many things going on in its head. And the other one over here in the lower right-hand corner is the invisible worm, and she's the one that's afraid to show up on screen, to be visible. So I don't know if any of you have experienced any of these, but I'm going to be sharing a little bit more. Like I'd say, I like to make them playful, but no mistake, these dragons have teeth. And when they do show up, we want to be about learning how to step into and actually what they do is they often show up when we're about to step into something bigger, truer, or where we're more aligned, right? Sometimes they show up, they trigger old stories. So they're real. Like the Scarcity Dragon. Oh my goodness, she shows up for me almost every time I'm shopping. And I have to calm her. I was like, okay, it's all right. Because what I found was when I was in this energy of scarcity, I couldn't be in abundance. I couldn't attract people into my work because I was showing up in that space of scarcity. Literally, it happened to me years ago when I was in my other business and when I had children, I had this story that children are too expensive. I was going to run out of money. And that is kind of what happened. And I couldn't even sell because I was showing up in the energy of scarcity. And then the fog wrath. She showed up not too long ago. It's the first time I really, truly experienced what was going on. I was expanding into something really new. It's actually when I was starting to speak about these dragons. And the fog wrath showed up. She's the forgetful dragon. I would get up in the morning, like the night before I would go, and I was like, I know what I'm doing. I know the exact next steps that I need to take. And in the morning, she would show up. In fact, I could feel her from my knees to my throat. And it was like she put this cloak over top of me so I couldn't see what I was to do next. I call her the forgetful dragon. She literally makes me forget because she's trying to protect me from stepping into visibility, from being all I'm meant to be. And so I need to presence that. So when it shows up now, I know how to presence her. I don't get angry with myself. I don't turn, beat myself up anymore. I just turn towards that part of myself. And we're going to learn how to do this. And the procrastination dragon. Anybody ever experienced one of those? Gotta raise your hand. Have you ever experienced the procrastination dragon? Yeah, I know. It shows up for me a lot. And the overthinking oracle. Well, I happen to have gate 48, which is this, I'm talking about human design, which is the gate of depth. So yes, I can end up thinking and thinking and thinking and getting really stuck in the overthinking analysis paralysis. But now that I know that about myself, I can pause and go, okay, I see where I am. Thank you very much, Overthinking Oracle. It's time, I think we'll just say, let's move forward. And then there's a combination of many dragons that often cause us to try to fit into portals that are not designed for us. Like we might be a round peg trying to fit into a tiny little square hole. And I found myself doing that. So we actually tie ourselves up into knots. We actually try to pretzel ourselves into different areas. I know that this showed up for me not too long ago. I became super aware that I was pretzeling and trying to fit into somebody else's mold. But what I know is that we can only really serve properly when we serve from overflow, when we fill our bucket first, and that we actually are kind and loving and caring. That's really what this process is all about. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a story about the imposter dragon. So she just showed up the other day. I had to laugh at her because I had just come from doing a massive confidence boost. I had pulled together all my life's inventory to put on my about page section of my website. And every training, every achievement, every bit of lived experience that made me the coach that I am today. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, I really do have what it takes. Because I did the inventory. You know, I've been around for a while. Some of you know that I'm 69, right? I've been on this planet for a while, and I am actually now stepping into the role model phase of my life. And I've had a lot of experience. And so I don't say that to be boastful. I just say that to know that I know that I'm showing up with all of those pieces. And I've learned to claim that. But here's what happened after I did that. It was all written out, everything. And I got up from my desk and walked into the kitchen, and I felt her, the imposter dragon. But I laughed because I was like, there she is, right on cue. The difference this time, I'd proven to myself that I wasn't an imposter. I could see her as an old part of me showing up to protect me from something she thought might hurt me. You know, those stories where people say, who do you think you are? And that's often what the imposter dragon says. But it's an old story, and it's an energy that still lived in my body. So I needed to turn towards her and calm her and let her know, you know what? It is okay for me to share who I am and all I bring to the table. Because I know what I brought here is really meant for others, just like you. When you step outside your imposter dragon, your imposter sense, you will know that you are really truly designed to do specific work. And people need to hear what you have to say. The Burnout Basilisk. She's been around for a long time. I met her in my corporate years where I was doing all the things right. I was working really hard. I was training, and I was doing software training. And later in years, they actually called this boot camp. But it wasn't until one Friday morning I was sitting at my desk, and literally my head, just like this dragon here, my head was on the desk. And I'm like, what am I doing here? This is so silly. Why am I still at my desk? I had an internal shift because the truth was I was being, like many of us, believed that we were meant to be at our desk 40 hours. And I know Steve has shared with me sometimes 70 hours a week. That's right. So we burn ourselves out. The burnout basilisk is there pushing us. You got to do more. You got to do more, because that's what we're taught in this corporate world. It's part of the culture we grew up in. But the truth is, that's not how most of us are designed. I'm a manifesting generator, and I'm really meant to be doing the things that light me up, because then when I show up, I have a ton of energy, and then I can share and do my work full on. So it was months later that I stepped out of that corporate world and started my journey as an entrepreneur. And I was like, I loved what I did so much when I was doing it, but I also loved doing all kinds of other things. And I needed to have the time to do that. And literally the first year, I was like, well, when I first stepped out, I said to myself, even if all I do is pay for the roof over my head, I'm happy. I literally doubled my income that first year in business. And years later, you would find me renovating an old house, which I love doing. I love to recreate space. I was learning to dance tango, and I was playing in a chamber orchestra, which I've done since I was, in my teens. But I had put it on hold because there wasn't enough time to do all these things when I was working for someone else. So being an entrepreneur gave me the flexibility to do all the things that really fueled my soul so that I could show up and be the best that I could be in the work that I was meant to do to serve other people. And then the shadow dragon. She came after me after I lost all my caregiving support all at once. My nanny went on maternity leave. My neighbors stopped helping. My weekend friends decided they needed their own time back. I was alone with 19-year-old twin boys, and I was depleted. One day at work, in my entrepreneur business, I was at a client's teaching. I had two young engineers started bantering in the classroom, and it triggered me, and I snapped. I was ashamed and grateful at the same time when a woman I respected called me on it gently. She prefaced it with, I know you've got a lot on your plate. I could see my behavior, but I couldn't stop it. I didn't yet know how to turn towards myself. That came many years later through this work as I became a transformational life coach, through becoming my own best friend. That's what my mentor taught me in this process that I'm going to teach you right now. Because up until then, I would constantly beat myself up. And here's the thing about shame. The shadow dragon buries us in shame. What shame does, it keeps us isolated. We hide, and we end up literally in scarcity because we don't have any friends, we don't have any support, and we make it all about us as doing something wrong. So this is the 4-part transformational journey that I'm going to be taking you on. It has 4 parts. This is phase 1 of transformation. This is the dragon whispering. Earlier, I mentioned there were 3 phases to the transformational journey, but today we're just going to cover the 1. And the 4 steps are awareness, our current story, so what's going on in our life, the birth of our dragons, and then turning towards ourselves. This is the heart of today's masterclass. So awareness, here's what I want you to know, is when you become aware of something that's off. And I built the dragon quiz so that you would become aware, because awareness is the first step to lasting transformation. And what I want to make sure that you know, that it is really important to celebrate the awareness, not to go to shame. But here's what you may not know, is that there is an 80% likelihood, especially for women, that you will default to shame. But promise yourself, please, please promise yourself that when you become aware that you will choose to celebrate. And that might look like something like clapping your hands or just putting your arms in the air to break up the pattern of going into that deep, that dive of shame. But if you do find yourself in shame, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be witnessed by a trusted soul. Do not share this with someone who is going to shame you further. Make sure you go to someone who is a trusted soul. Otherwise, it could fester. I want you to share it, or you can also book a dragon whispering session so we can shine the light on it together. That's just the beginning. Can I have you promise yourself that when you become aware that you will celebrate? Can I get you? Can you put your hand on your heart and say, I promise to celebrate any awareness, because that's the first step to lasting transformation. The second step is knowing the current story. So I'm going to get you, if you have a pen and paper, that's also really awesome, because that helps you just take some notes. Once you've caught yourself in awareness, the next step is to look at the current story. So what is really going on? So is there a place right now in your life where you feel a little blocked? And I'm just going to toggle my camera off here for a sec because I can see it's going wacko here. And there, hopefully that's better. It doesn't, I know it sometimes has a dragon mind of its own. So in this current story, is there a place in your life where you're blocked, or a place that sometimes you get triggered, like an old, like something that's going on? These are patterns that keep looping. Ask yourself, where are you blocked right now? Or where might you get triggered? And have you recognized any patterns that keep showing up? For example, maybe you keep saying yes when you really want to say no. That's a people-pleasing thing. And often finding yourself as a pretzel. Or maybe you're constantly over-delivering, hoping it will finally feel like enough. This step is about naming what's happening, because you can't transform a story that you haven't named. And what you may find as you go through the dragon quiz, that there's some awareness will show up. Now, we have the birth of the dragons. Every dragon has an origin story. And why it was born? Well, it comes from an old story, something that outside of us. So it could be something that's taught to us, like the culture did about the Burnout Basilisk, right? The culture that says we have to keep working really hard. Or maybe it's something we learned, or actually taught, something we caught, something where we witnessed somebody doing something else and we learned that, oh, wait a minute, mom always does this, so therefore I need to always do that. But sometimes we need to break those patterns. That's where we kind of repeat things, right? We're modeling. And sometimes we make up a story about it because we make a meaning out of something that happened to us when we were really little. This is where the dragon quiz comes in handy for helping us identify what that story might be, because I really wanted you to bring awareness. So I'm going to actually just take a moment and let you go through the dragon quiz so that we can have a moment. Or maybe somebody will be brave enough, because we need to have courage, as Dee shared here, is that the women in this and the men in this community are here as courageous souls, because we can't expand until we have courage. So the dragon quiz, there's the link both in the Facebook group and in our chat. If you'd like, I'll give you a couple of minutes minutes to go ahead and do the dragon quiz. So go ahead and pull it up. And you can just take the quiz. Now this quiz is based on, it's based on things that are draining your power, your business power, but they can apply to anything in life. The first one is about tech. The second one, your relationship with your ideas. The third question is, when you're about to launch or share something, do you tweak it endlessly like it's never quite done? Or maybe you feel too tired to push through. Or you share only when you're inspired. And what are you telling yourself about being seen online? Do you feel qualified enough? Do you need to get everything in order first? Or do you get foggy and forget, like the fog wrath? And what's your energy like at the end of most days? Do you feel exhausted or tired from doing it all yourself? Or maybe you have the best clients in the world and at the end of the day, you feel completely fulfilled. Wouldn't you love to have that as part of your story? What's your first instinct when faced with a challenge? Trying to figure it all out? Are you in a panic? Or do you look for a new plan or an idea instead? Have you got the clarity that you need? How do you feel about your past business attempts? Are you still carrying guilt or shame about the things that didn't work? I actually have a tool for that one. Or you try not to think about it and move on. Or you think maybe you blew your last chance. So there are many ways that we can respond to some of these. What do you actually do when you have a few free hours? Do you go in, focus on aligned actions with ease? Or do you create some new Canva designs for a project that you haven't launched yet? Or write 10 new emails? Or whatever. What belief do you catch yourself repeating? That you have to do it all, or you need to work harder, or again, you don't know enough yet. You may be able to see the patterns here in the questions, in the answers that you pick. What happens after you get inspired? Do you avoid taking action? Do you forget what the idea even was? You get overwhelmed? Or do you follow the spark and stay grounded? And how do you feel when somebody asks you about your business? So I probably should pull this over here so you can see where I am in the dragon quiz. I think you might be able to see that on this. Whoops, I just lost it. Can I pull it up? I think I have too many screens open here. Where is it? Nope. I've lost it. Unfortunately, I've lost it. So in the end, actually, maybe I can just do this for a second. Oh, there it is. And in the end, we're going to go through here we go. So the last question is, how do you respond to growth opportunities? So maybe you say yes and then overthink it. Say no because it feels too hard, or yes and move forward. So once you finish this, what's going to come up is your score. So you'll notice through here that there are different scores. Mine currently says flow, but I also have one that says the tech troll. Now, I wasn't really paying attention to what I selected here, but there are a few of them, and that's okay too. Just take note of which ones have pretty high scores. And the one that has the highest score, maybe like the Chaos Hydra, is you can click on the results page here, and it will take you to meet the Chaos Hydra. It will tell you a little bit about that. And here's what I want you to do, is I want you to actually click on Show Me How to Tame the Dragons, because in there, you can use this code. It's going to give you an option to download the field guide for free when you use the Dragonfly code and show you how to tame the dragons. This will ensure that you also get the emails that go with it. So when you actually put the code in here and apply it, you'll get it for free. So you've saved yourself $7. So just put in your email. And when you do that, you complete the order, you will receive the Dragon Whispers field guide. And you'll be able to have little tools on how you can actually access the field guide. So we're in this one here. Okay, so let me go back to my sharing where I was. Where is my PowerPoint? Oops, I lost the display here. Let me just go back to start the slide again. Oh, sorry, let's scooch down here. Okay, so we've gone awareness, the current story, and the birth of the dragons. Does anybody want to share a little bit about which dragon showed up for them? Dee, did you get your quiz yet? Your quiz results? Uh-oh, are you frozen? Steve, do you have your quiz results?
Yeah, I have it from before. I was just taking it again now, but
Okay.
when I did it, I actually had 3 that came up kind of high: the Overthinking Oracle, the Shadow Dragon, and the Imposter Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of scary, those ones, right? Some of them, right? Certainly the Shadow Dragon. Yes. And would you like to share at all about the Shadow Dragon, Steve, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how the Imposter fits me really well, but the Shadow Dragon, I have this, I don't know, is that the one that has the shame involved? I forgot how you put that.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the one.
Yes, that's a lot of what's going on for me. Is like I'll try something, it doesn't, it doesn't work. Instead of tweaking it and going for what would work or would make it better, I end up getting down on myself and getting a lot of shame in what I did, that I didn't do it perfect. So kind of a perfectionistic aspect too, but still.
Yes, yes. Well, and there is a perfectionist dragon as well. I'm surprised that one didn't show up. It may not actually be all of the pieces in the quiz. And I understand that one because I have struggled with the perfectionist dragon myself, right? Yeah. So learning to turn towards yourself, this next piece that we're going to do, my hope is that it will actually help you start to shift it. And then I'll be talking about another layer that we can do. Dee, did you have, what was your dragon that showed up?
I couldn't get past your capture thing, so I've just given up. I tried numerous times and it wouldn't let me submit, so I don't know.
Oh, really? When you went to the last page? You didn't get the...
Yeah. And I said submit, and it said fill in the capture, and it kept coming up with cars and hills and bikes, and every time I filled it in, it kept coming up saying the capture won't be can't be submitted or something. So I gave up on that. I'll have to do it later, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. So did you go in through the landing page?
Yeah, I went in through the link that you gave me. You know, when we put the link in the comments?
In the chat, yeah. In the chat. Let me just
Yeah,
see.
I went in through there.
Oh, that's...
I don't know whether my internet is a bit unsteady and it won't allow me to have too many windows
okay. All righty.
open at the same time. I mean,
Oops, we just lost her again.
we have to get a robot to tell us we're not robots.
Dr. Steven, he says he's made one. The tech guy. Not this Steve.
Oh, okay. The other Steve. Okay. So what happens is when you'll see it, hopefully, oh yeah, maybe it is.
No, it's not letting me do it. I've got this bike one up now, so let me see if I can get this one done before it disappears. That's that. Right, see if this one lets me do it. No, it's given me another one. Oh, I really hate these things.
Oh,
They
sorry.
drive me nuts. Yeah, every single time.
It's trying to verify who you are.
I pictured it. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if it's because
no
maybe because you're in the UK. I'm wondering if the software is kind of trying to verify who you are.
Has it allowed me to? Is that going to let me do it now? It's not, is it? Keeps saying submit and then it won't let me submit. The capture's gone now. Oh, never mind. I think I'm just going to have to leave it for now. So,
okay. So were there any dragons that I shared in the list that you recognized?
oh, yeah, there was a few that came up, and in the quiz, I found that there was more answers that I would like to have put, but there was only room for one answer for each question. So, but I had quite a few of the answers applied to me. So,
well, you can always go back and take the quiz again. It's the results page that you want to end up with so that you can see what the percentages are. So it let you go into the quiz and it didn't give you the results page? Did it?
No, I haven't. Well, I haven't been able to. I couldn't get through to the verify at the end, submitting it to you, because I had this capture thing come up. So.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what's happening there. So. But the dragon in the purple dragon in the corner at the bottom. That's what I'm one of those. I can't remember what it was called now.
The invisible worm, the one that kind of hides, is kind of shy about being visible.
Yeah, I do that quite a bit. I kind of like feel like, oh, there's other people know better than me, even though I know my work really well. I think there's so many other people being online longer than me that they have a better kind of standing than I do. So I kind of like think, well, they're already doing it, I'll just hide away, kind of thing. So I do that sometimes, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I want to presence this because that's probably I mean, yes, people have been on there longer, but you have a lot of skills. And I would just really also want a presence that I have seen you grow. I really have. I've seen you grow from when we first met inside a bump. And Yes, I do. You did. You used to be very shy, but you are getting so much braver, and I see you standing visibly. So I think I'm wondering if that's an old story about it's not safe to show up.
Mm, mm.
Have you been
Yes, maybe,
criticized in
maybe.
them?
Oh
And where,
yes, lot of,
yeah?
yeah, lot of criticism. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so let's presence that because that's really where the dragon was born. The dragon was born in those old stories, right? And what happens is that those old stories, right? The dragon showed up because you were young when it first happened, and somebody was doing a lot of criticism. And so that dragon showed up and said, it's safer to be invisible than it is to be visible.
Mm.
Does that
Yeah,
feel
I hear that.
real? Yeah. And
It
so
it resonates.
how old were you when that first started happening?
My earliest my earliest memory when I was a child was from about the age of 6. And it carried on through the whole of my schooling. I always trying to be noticed at home, and it was, how can I get noticed if I'm not noticed about this thing that I'm trying to get my voice heard? How else can I get noticed? And I was really a very studious student, if you like. I was very studious at school. I was always wanted to do my best at school, always wanted to my mum to be proud of me, always wanted to say, look what I've done, look what I've achieved. I'm here kind of thing. And it took a long time before my mum actually turned around. And I think I was in my 40s when my mum turned around and said, I'm proud of you.
Oh,
So my whole of my childhood and my youth, I didn't get that at all. So I've been a constant doer and a constant kind of giver, so that I could be noticed, by the people in my family that I wanted to notice me. Yeah. So I think that's the remnants of that story going on.
yeah. And so what
Yeah.
happens is that every time what happens is when we try to show up again, right? There's still that remnants of, right? That little part, that little girl part of yours, that 6-year-old part of you that is still kind of going, oh, look at me, look at me. I really need some attention. And you may very well in your profile, I'm not sure if you have a 5 in your profile, but those who have 5s in their profiles really are meant to be seen in the fame world. Like they're meant to be seen and recognized by other people in a community, like in a group. So they have the
Mm.
fame. And so it's interesting because sometimes it's part of our design. But what you're bringing up for what I'm really recognizing is that, and this is really where the dragons get created, is when our needs go unmet. 90% of the time, the identities that we create, the dragons that show up that create, it's because we did not get our needs met. Like you did not get the acknowledgement that you needed. And if you are a 5 in your profile, you needed to be recognized in a group of people. That's just who you are. That's part of your design, right? I think Steve maybe has a
Yeah.
5 in his profile too. Yeah, I don't.
I
That's
think
not important.
I think I'm a 3-5 or a 5-3. Can't remember which way around it is. 3-5 or 5-3. I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very much
I
part
think
of
it's
your
the.
design.
Is it the? Yeah. Is it the hermit heretic or something like that?
Well, the hermit is a 2. The hermit I know is a 2. 5 is, I can't remember what it's called, but I do know that, and because I often have to, there's so much to human design that
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know
Yeah.
I
off
believe
the
it's
top.
the heretic. 5, I believe
It's the
5 is the
heretic.
heretic.
Oh,
Yeah.
5 is the heretic. Yeah. 2 is
Yes.
the hermit. Sorry. 2 is the hermit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thanks. And so those who have a 5 in their profile, I know, need to be able to, they need to be acknowledged in order to feel seen and heard and understood. And so this is really the process that we're going to be taking a look at. So let's take a look at the next piece. Well, we've done the quiz. So the next part is the fourth part in the transformational piece, but it's multifaceted. This is really where the healing happens. This is where we learn to turn towards the dragons. We learn to whisper to them. And that's what I call this, the dragon whispering. It's the step that changes everything. It's where we stop fighting the dragons and start listening to them. I know a lot of people say, we're going to slay that dragon, but that's not what they're meant to do. It isn't your enemy. It's a younger part of you that's often a child version, like Dee when she was 6, right? You learn to protect. It learned to protect you the best way it knew how, right? Maybe it silenced you to avoid trouble. Maybe it learned to overachieve to feel worthy. That's probably what was going on, Dee, right? Oh, you were overachiever, right? Maybe it learned to push through pain because slowing down felt dangerous. That was me, the burnout basilisk. Yeah, just keep on going. Just keep on pushing through. Yeah. And here's the truth. If we don't take time to meet and honor that part, it will keep showing up again and again. So if we don't actually take the time to heal this old story, because it's an energy that lives in our body. Like with that imposter dragon, for me, showed up. Even though I had done all the work, I could feel, as soon as I stepped into the kitchen, I could feel that energy in my body. And I was like, oh, there you are, right? And it's really just presencing it and loving it, literally loving into it, like it's a small child, because it is. It's a younger version of us. And every time we come into a similar situation, it gets triggered. I was actually going to teach this years ago as transforming triggers, because that's really what it is. So training our dragons is like transforming those triggers. So we're going to learn how to turn towards ourselves. It's about witnessing and feeling the memory that are stored there. So if it's a major trauma, you may want to be really gentle, and you may want to be witnessed by someone else, by someone who can step you through that. My dragon whispering can help you step through some of those pieces. So the way that we do this, before we turn towards this wounded part of ourselves, I want to share a couple of things that I have learned, because when I first started doing this work, I would get lost in the pain. When I would get triggered, even though I was trying to turn towards myself, I would get lost in it. And I would get emotionally hijacked. So what I had to learn how to do was to really come into power. Now I have 4 ways into power, but I'm going to presence 2 of them here. One is the witness. It is the capacity to watch from outside of ourselves what was going on, to see what was going on, so that we don't get hijacked. The other ways that we can come into it is stepping into our body's power. So this can happen through the process of identifying times or places where we have been in our power. So where in your life are you most compassionate? Where in your life are you most, caring for others? Standing in your power. I want you to just kind of maybe take a moment and presence where in your life you are the most compassionate. And see if you can recall, they call this epigenetics, where we recall in our body what it felt like to stand in our power, to stand in our presence, to be fully in our body, where we are carrying and holding space for another. Not rescuing, but just standing in our power and really presencing the space for another. Because we're not taught to do this for ourselves. This is what we're going to be doing here. In order to turn towards that wounded part in yourself, you have to first be in your power. And the reason is that this is one of the things that I learned. I believe this is out of Stanford University. There's somebody who does a TED talk on the 3 types of empathy. And I found this was one of the most powerful things for me to learn when I learned to turn towards myself, was that there are 3 types of empathy. There's emotional empathy, where we actually feel what another feels. And it's great for connection, but it's not good in this particular instance because we can get lost in it. As an empath, I experience this a lot. And I have to really be cautious when I'm or aware when I'm coaching that I'm not so much in my deep empathy. If I'm in emotional empathy, I can get lost in it. I used to like sit and cry with my clients because and not be very helpful in helping them out because I could get lost in my own work if I hadn't healed that part of myself yet. There's cognitive empathy, which has to do with, it's more like concerned empathy. It's the part of us ourselves, like maybe you've witnessed an accident, something's happened, you immediately go into fix mode, you immediately go into rescue mode, right? That's not what we're doing either. So when we're turning towards ourselves, we want to be in this witness place, this place where we can see what's going on and we can reflect back without being dropped into the deep, dark, painful emotions that are really going on when our dragons got triggered. So once we've been able to step into our power and chosen, and I noticed that when I first started learning this piece about the different types of emotion, I become aware of them and had to like kind of, oh, how can I shift into? And at one point I used to sort of think, my witness isn't very compassionate, but that witness needed to be in that space. And only when I felt safe enough to be in the emotions of compassion, because compassion is what really heals. I didn't want to get stuck in the old emotion. So here we are turning towards the dragon. From your powerful place, you are the dragon whisperer, and you are going to whisper to that part of yourself that's in your body. So when the energy of that scared part or the part that's hasn't had its need met, you're going to be the adult now. You are going to be the one that starts to meet its needs. And we do this by allowing us to see the dragon. And we do this by asking it, how are you feeling? And feelings are just one word. It's not a whole story. It's just a word. So Dee, how did you feel when you weren't being witnessed? When you were invisible. Oh, I see that you were feeling invisible. And this is how we respond to ourselves. I see that you were not seen. And how else did you feel?
Not sure. I'm not sure. Invisible keeps coming up. Because not being able to get my voice out, I'm unheard.
Right.
And I'm unseen. So they both encompass that feeling of being invisible because I'm not even heard. and I'm not even seen. So, and I mean, I've actually managed to get my percentages now for this quiz as you were talking. So I've got them now. And it's not, it doesn't surprise me, the results actually. The biggest one is the Burnout Basilisk. I've got 37.5% on that, so that makes sense to me. And then the invisible one is 33.33%, which is the second one. So from what I've heard you say, they match together, don't they? Because if you feel invisible, you try to do stuff to be seen, so you burn yourself out. That makes sense to me. And then I've got 25% on the Shadow Dragon. So I'm thinking, if all of those are in play, what else would I be feeling? Alone.
Oh, I see that
I would think, yeah, feeling alone, feeling invisible, feeling unheard, and if anything needs to be done, I have to do it because there's nobody there.
Yeah, all alone, unsupported. Yeah.
Unsupported. So I'm 75% overworked dragon, but I'm actually 50% in flow. So I don't know what that means.
Well, that's good. That's something to celebrate, right? So let's just celebrate. Let's just celebrate that you've uncovered your dragons, and that you've uncovered that there's an old story that made you feel invisible, an old story that said you were unheard, an old story that left you feeling like you were all alone and unsupported.
Yeah.
I know those stories really well, because what I know is that when our needs go unmet, we often feel that way, especially when we feel invisible. It's actually an identity. In the transformational work I do, it's like almost like I don't exist.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and presence this part of yourself and ask it what it needs. What would it need? We kind of already know part of it, right? It needs to be seen.
Yes, it's the opposite to what it is.
Right, you need to be seen. So I hear that you need to be seen. So what you can be doing is reflecting back from this witness part of yourself into this part of yourself that's, and I can feel it in my sacral, or is it my solar? It's more in my sacral. I can feel the energy of that in the sacral area of my body. Can you feel it in your body?
It's in my solar plexus.
It's in your solar plexus.
Yeah,
okay.
in the gut. Yeah, right in there.
So when you're,
doesn't surprise me either if I've got IBS, you know.
Yeah. So I hear that you need to be seen. Is there anything else that you need? That this little part of yours, this younger part, this 6-year-old, she needs to be seen. What else does she need?
Recognition, I think,
Recognition.
for everything that all of that effort at school and college and university and continuous student that I've been all my life.
Yeah, can we give her
for all of
some
it,
recognition? Can we recognize that she has worked so hard? She has done a fabulous job. I know you have. You've done a fabulous job. Can you recognize that part of yourself? Because sometimes
I can recognize it. Yeah. It's it's, you know, when you recognize it in yourself, but then you feel like that it's always nice to get that recognition from someone else to get it validated. It's that kind of feeling that it's not that it's not that I need it from other people for me to believe that I've done that. It's that it's just nice to get that validation that they think the same as me, if you like. They see what I see. And it's not just me seeing it. I think that's the thing that's coming in. That's the download I'm getting, is that, yeah.
And that makes perfect sense if you're a 5 in your profile, because you need to be recognized in community, like in front of other people. And I am recognizing you for all your achievements, because you've worked really hard.
Thank you.
And so we want to be able to turn towards yourself to get that need met. And when you know that you need that, is there something else that you need? So we do this 3 times. We do 3 feelings and 3 needs. So you have another need. Is there something else that you would need, that this younger part of yourself, the one that needs to be seen, that needs to be recognized, what else does she need?
I lost you again then. I think my internet went again. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So we know that that's younger part of yourself needs to be seen. She needs to be recognized. Is there something else that she needs?
The word I'm getting is loved.
Yeah. Now, I actually have a whole list of these words that you can pick from, which by the way, it made it easier, but it's part of one of the processes that I do. But it is. And I remember the first time I looked at this, so I see that you need to feel loved. And I know the first time I did this and I looked at the list, I saw words on there that I had no idea I had the right to ask for.
Right.
Like, I did not know that I had the right to be connected. I did not know I had the right for autonomy, right? To have my own space. And it happens to be part of my design, which I've now know, but it's interesting because we're designed specific ways, but we also have our own unique needs. And we always want to be able to presence those. And we also know that you need to have someone else recognize. So the next part of this is, once we've actually heard and seen the dragon, or the part that the dragon is protecting, because it's the younger child. Oh, wait a minute. One of my images got mixed up. I don't know what happened to it. Okay, because I had a picture of a dragon with a young child, right? One of the things we want to do now is get really curious, right? And find out how we can get that need met. And this is where we tune in to the greater field. It's not us trying to figure it out from our head. It's dropping into that place of, I wonder how D could feel seen. I wonder how she could feel seen. And I wonder how D could get the recognition that she needs to hear. And I wonder how D could feel loved. How could she reach out to someone to feel loved? Maybe how could she turn towards herself to feel loved? And, love feels different for all of us. So maybe it's tapping into that as well. And I'm not sure, Dee, are you frozen?
Yeah, I did. I froze again.
That's
Sorry.
okay. So if we drop in and get really curious about what we need from a greater field, right? It's not us trying to figure it out with our head. It's just like dropping in to your
Love.
being and just asking. So
Yes.
do you what do you
Yes.
suppose? How do you suppose
Mhm.
you could be seen? Oh, she's frozen again.
Gone off again.
Yeah. What do you suppose you could do to be seen? And to
The first thing the first thing that comes to me is to ask for what I need.
mm-hmm.
It's the first thing that comes to me. I find that very difficult, but asking.
Well, yeah.
How does anybody know unless I tell them what I need? They're not mind readers, are they?
Yeah. And there's probably another story under there. It makes perfect sense because
Yes.
you were trying to get your needs met when you were younger and probably asked, like most of us, like tenacious children, we ask and ask and ask
Mm-hmm.
until it goes offline. Our needs can actually go offline because we can ask and ask and ask. And if they're never met, we just stop asking. Because what's the point? Because nobody's going to do that. Must not be important. It is something that happens to us. And so now it is being able for us as adults to presence that part of ourself that feels like it's not safe to ask or that our needs are not important. In fact, I was coaching somebody one day on getting her needs met. We were in a deep meditation, and she said, "Oh, I'm not human. I'm not supposed to have needs." It's so fascinating how the things that we believe about ourselves, the stories that we make up when we're really young to protect ourselves. And the truth is, she's human. The truth is, she deserves rest.
Feels
And the
like
truth,
yeah, yeah. It feels like it's this is bringing up stuff that's out of all the work I've done over the years on myself. There are still remnants that need to be tidied up, you know.
yeah, this is a very powerful process. My mentor called this becoming your own best friend. And almost all the identities in the transformational matrix that I work with, there are 26 of them, almost every one of them requires the way back to the self, the true self, is by doing this exercise, which is learning to turn towards yourself and getting your needs met. It's when I started doing this, my life completely changed. Completely changed. You know, that whole piece of not feeling loved, we start to love ourselves because we're getting our needs met. We're getting curious. I wonder. And I found that when I started doing some of this work, when I would find when I was launching into a new business, I would get triggered constantly. I would like, and I was like, okay, every time I need to do something, I need to sit down and do this exercise because if I'm getting triggered, there's an old story here that's telling me, you know, I'm not getting a need met or I'm, you know, especially clarity, right? We're launching a new project. We need to know, we need to have clarity, but it can make us really anxious because we don't have the answers yet. Unless you're really super resourceful, you know, like probably you are, Dee, because you have been very resourceful all your life. So I'm just going to move on here unless there's something else that you'd like to reflect, Dee.
No, that's fine. I carry on.
Okay. Steve, did you have anything that came up that you'd like to share? No? Okay. So turning towards ourselves, meeting the dragon with power, this is really just an old story, but it's not today's truth, because today you have the capacity to be seen. In fact, you're being seen right now in front of all these gutsy women today. And
Mhm.
I want to recognize you for being this powerful woman, for hosting this space. And I know that you are loved and you deserve love. I really appreciate you, and I love you too. We want to let the dragon know that you can take care of this now. It's an old story. So when we can come from this mature part, we have the capacity to ask. Sometimes our needs go offline because we don't even have language, even as infants, right? When we're before the age of 2 or 2.5 or 3, before we have language, our needs aren't getting met. We don't even have the language for them. All we do is cry. And if no one knows what that means, then they can't meet our needs. So sometimes they go off offline before you even have language. So one of the things that I do is I do this practice daily, because what it does is it brings back self-trust. Because sometimes we don't trust ourselves to make the right decisions. We don't trust ourselves to always act in alignment with ourselves, our own moral codes. And the way, because we sometimes we act out, or like Dee, you hide, right? Right? Some of those things. And what I believe is that if we do this practice on a daily basis, it builds self-trust. It also helps us bring our brilliance and our bodies back online. It was that practice that keeps my burnout basilisk at bay, and it keeps me in my own power, because I allow myself to recognize when I'm pushing too much. My body will let me know, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's time for me to take a break, instead of that push through all the time, right? Or that place where I was pretzeling, trying to fit into somebody else's idea of what life is. So, a reflection: what are these dragons currently costing you? What are they costing you to keep it in charge? Are they letting the dragon rule things, letting you say you're not seen, you're not being recognized, and whatever the silence that it's keeping you at, right? What is it costing you? Right? It's probably costing you, if you're not asking for what you need, you're not getting your needs met. Or maybe you're not being as visible as you want to, as you want to be. Or maybe you're not asking for the recognition. Right? Maybe you need to be showing up in other people's groups where they can recognize you. Forget my should, but just as an example, right? Just getting curious of what that would be like. And how is it jeopardizing your freedom, your energy, and your joy? What would it feel like to be recognized every day? What would it feel like to be celebrated for all the work that you're doing?
Mm.
So this process is the heart of my Return to Sovereignty program. It's a 3-month journey where we work on your dragons, your design, and your daily rituals so that you can live from your full power. We talk more about that in a moment, but for now, I want you to really sit with what you've just experienced. This is where everything starts to shift, right? Do you recognize that there was some work that needs to be done, right? There's some little pieces that and by the way, we're like onions, right? We just peel the layers, peel the layers. So I'm just going to take you through where we've been. So let's take a breath. You've met your dragons. You've even seen the cost of letting them run the show. You've learned how to stand in your power, I want to celebrate you for that. So you can turn towards it with compassion, with this part of yourself that still has some ache, that still needs to be seen. Because the more you do it, the more that part of you heals, the more it understands that that's the old story, and that you are seen, and that you are competent, and that that you are the brilliant person that you really truly are, and the achievements that you've created. And you felt it, even if for just a moment, what sovereignty feels like. So the 4-part transformation piece that we just went through, which is the part about dragon whispering, we started with awareness, making sure we celebrate it. Let's not go to shame on this one. Understand the current story, what that dragon could be holding us back. And then understanding the birth of it. Where did it start? Because that's the energy that lives in the body. But we need to turn towards it from our mature, compassionate witness self so that it can be seen and heard, and that we can together explore how we can get that need met. And I say together, meaning conversation that you have between your adult self and your younger self. And if you're still struggling with that, that's where I can help with you through doing dragon whispering work, where I actually help you understand what's going on and build some of those exercises and have it seen and heard. So turning towards yourself with power, knowing the 4 ways into power and the 3 types of empathy, choosing the empathy wisely, and ask what they are protecting you from, and making sure that we understand what they need. So remember who's been guiding you, right? The dragon whisperer, that's me over here, the soul cartographer, and the good witch. The good witch ensures that you do those patterns, practices every day. I call it practicing magic every day. So my Return to Sovereignty program has 3 parts. It has the sovereignty reset, which helps us bring our nervous system regulation and daily practices and dragon whispering, where we really strengthen and heal those old stories. The second part is sales as sovereignty, using your human design to help understand your design, how you sell, how you're meant to lead, receive, and in a way that's natural for you. You can also do the Prosperity Codes Light if you want a lighter version of that to see how you're aligned. And then part 3 is the receiving rituals. And this is where the Good Witch comes online, and I help you design the rituals and help you stay on track to really build those so that you can step into that next version of yourself. So your next step here is to book a Soul Compass conversation. It's completely free. It's a 20-30-minute conversation. And if you want to go deeper, I have the offering of going into a dragon whispering session. So we also have the option to do a dragon whispering session as well. And now I'm just going to open it up to now we did do some coaching already, but are there any questions about anything that we've covered? No? No questions? Oh, gee, I think you're frozen again. Steve, do you have any questions at all?
Enlightening, actually.
Oh, thank you. Steve, do you have any questions, comments?
No, not right now. Not right now. Just a lot to think about and absorb.
Okay. That's okay. My imposter was showing up earlier and I was like, are they going to get anything out of this? Because it happens, right? Right. I'm human. I experience those things. I was like, okay, wait a minute, Sue, just trust. So Thank you. And thank you for that reflection, Steve. Okay, so just a closing reflections. Your dragons aren't here to destroy you. They're here to protect you. They were created to protect some of those things, those stories that we created when we were little. Because the truth is, when you were little, you didn't have the skills and capacities to be able to maybe even ask, right? And it's not to say that it was fair, because often it wasn't fair. But when you meet your dragons with your power, you reclaim not just your sovereignty, but your self-trust. Because you can start to trust yourself. Right? Unfortunately, that piece of shame can sometimes show up, right? As we continue to shame ourselves, sometimes we just don't trust ourselves to be able to show up the way that that's in alignment with ourselves. And so strengthening the sovereignty place, staying out of the burnout basilisk, shifting our belief around that system is really important to balance our nervous system. Otherwise, we will continue to push through their behaviors. We might become aware of them mentally, but we need to do the practices to really understand that. I've been coaching somebody since February, and literally this week it showed up again. Yep, she wasn't taking her break. So now we have some accountability, and she just promised to do 3 days of getting out to the park at lunchtime so she could just get herself back online, so she didn't have to be burning herself out. Sometimes it's just 2 minutes of work, but it's setting up the practices to be able to do that so that our bodies can come back online and that we can stay in our sovereignty. So I want to say thank you for your time and your presence today. And a special thanks to you, Dee, for hosting this event. It has been an absolute honor to be here and to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you so much for everything that you've done today. I've actually really loved the way that you put things across, and you've actually made these, you know, some people call them our inner demons, but I love the way that you say that they're inner dragons, and they are, you know, they're there to guide us. It's just like our bodies trying to talk to us, isn't it, as well? You know, our bodies are trying to talk to us with the symptoms that we get. And so it's been absolutely wonderful. I'm so pleased how it's gone tonight, and you know that your session's really rich with lots and lots of stuff in there that people can use and benefit from. So I really hope that anybody watching or catching this on replay will get in touch with Sue and find out a little bit more. Do the quiz, find out where you are at the moment. I think that's a really great starting point. Do the quiz, get in touch with Sue, have that free chat with her, and see where you go with it, because it can be really, really enlightening when we undo all of the stuff that's going on in here, and our bodies start to feel more like our bodies again, and that they're not in control of our life any longer. That's really important. So thank you. Thanks, Sue. Thank you, Steve, for being here as well and taking part. And I just want to say to everyone, thanks for watching. Please put any comments or questions into the comment section below, and we'll see you all again some other time. So thank you very much, because it's now getting on. So we'll end the live there, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.